So tell me that story about when you accidentally ran your brother over. Was that
Brother
Moses?
who?
Myron. Didn't you accidentally run Myron over with the tractor?
That was in Moses
Yeah?
Lake.
Tell me about that.
Yes. Okay. My job was we took a flatbed kind of thing. It had little bits of rails on the side, and they were going around, and my dad would dig up all these rocks and stuff and turn them over, and they were supposed to pick the big rocks up and put them into the trailer. And I always said, "Is everybody ready?" Of course. Well, Myron was putting a big boulder into the flatbed truck, semi-flat. But anyway, and so he didn't either couldn't answer because he was taking a big rock or whatever. But anyway, I drove over him. And they were screaming. And by darn, I could not. I was in charge of the tractor at that time. I mean, and my dad just, anyway, needless to say, somebody yelled to my grandmother, Merrill, who's my favorite grandma, and she came out of that house praying. Oh God, she was a Mormon and a very devout Mormon, but she had grown up in West Virginia where you had holy rollers and people like that. So she was singing some of their prayers all the way out there. And so she came and picked him up and carried him to the house. And that's when we found out the only thing that had damaged him was that he pushed all his bowels out. I'm not his bowels, but the poop from the bowels got squished out. So she just cleaned him up and sent him back out. Well, first she made sure that he knew what to do. That's also the place where I was with my grandma Merrill when we had an outhouse because we just had the 4-room house, and then we had that outhouse. And I don't know if you remember the story about a sonic boom went over. Well, there's two stories. A sonic boom, and she was out using the outhouse, and they had an Air Force base there and a Boeing at that time. And there was a big sonic boom while she come running out of that outhouse, praying like you wouldn't believe. She thought that the world had come to an end. And my grandmother does. Her prayers sometimes can get very excited, you know. So I do remember that. The other thing I remember in there is that I dropped my puppy. Yes, in there. I don't know. I was kind of stupid. You'd think by 9 I'd figure that out, or 10. But anyway, I dropped my little puppy, and my grandma, she got right in there with a shovel and got that puppy out and ran it into the under the hose, the water, and we had to haul our water in big tin cans because we didn't have running water when we were first there. And so I was my job to put the big cans and go over to the neighbor and fill up the big cans with water. So we had a lot of them. And so I would go over there and she would dip that baby into a bowl or something and get that baby scrubbed out. She cleaned his little eyes like you wouldn't believe. Oh, there wasn't a bacteria left on that puppy by the time.
And he's okay?
Yeah, he lived.
What was his name?
I don't remember. I remember that he was the runt. But then he grew up to be the bigger one, puppy. But we did, I think we had to give him away when we moved from there to somebody else. And that 4-room house, we finally got electricity. And, but my dad, he was so sweet to my mom. He'd take all the clothes and go into a laundromat into Moses Lake and have all the laundry done, especially in the winter time because he didn't have as much to do as a farmer then. Didn't. One other story about Moses Lake is that I was in the school orchestra and I played the viola. And I remember one time we were supposed to be, it was time, and we were set on these bleachers, you know, but I scooted my chair back while the conductor had his hands like that, and I went, and so everybody heard this big thump, and here I was trying to at least look like I was a sane person, but they all helped me up and got me back on, and that's
in front of the whole school.
in front of the whole school,
In 5th grade.
in 5th grade, when I was 10 years old. That was embarrassing.
Well,
Needless
funny
to
the
say.
things you remember.
Yeah, isn't it? Those little traumatic things never leave you. You know, kind of things like that. But anyway,